Why is it so incredibly difficult to just say no to the people we care about the most? Meet Ito. From the outside, he looks like the perfect husband to his wife Noah, and a devoted, infinitely patient father to his 6-year-old son Daniel. But internally, Ito is running on empty. His daily life is a series of quiet concessions. He repeatedly volunteers for unpaid overtime because he can't bring himself to turn down his boss. At home, he constantly defers to Noah on what to eat or watch to avoid the slightest risk of annoying her. And when Daniel demands to stay up an hour past bedtime, Ito caves. Ito tells himself he's just an easygoing guy who likes keeping the peace. In reality, he is trapped in a paralyzing people-pleasing reflex, one that completely erases his own needs in favor of everyone else's. Our culture often praises this kind of constant self-sacrifice as kindness or the mark of a truly selfless parent. Psychologically, Ito's inability to set boundaries functions as a defense mechanism, a learned response designed to protect him from the perceived threat of rejection. To understand why Ito's brain equates a simple no with immediate danger, we have to look away from his current family and examine the environment where he grew up. An adult who cannot defend their own boundaries is almost always echoing a childhood where having individual limits was actively punished. Growing up, Ito was raised by a mother named Mikal. There was certainly love in their house, but there was absolutely no concept of emotional separation. This diagram illustrates enmeshment, where a parent's emotional state completely consumes the child's identity. If the parent becomes unstable, the trapped child is instantly forced to adapt to that exact same state. They must constantly monitor the parent's mood just to survive emotionally. For young Ito, this played out in everyday interactions. If he felt confused, sad, or angry, his mother didn't comfort him. She took his difficult emotions as a direct attack on her own character, effectively invalidating whatever he was actually feeling. When a child's individual emotions are consistently canceled out like this, they learn a very clear lesson. Suppressing their true self is the only reliable way to maintain baseline stability at home. This suppression is maintained by parents who lack boundaries through invisible, daily psychological controls that actively discourage independence. The first control mechanism used is guilt. Whenever young Ito wanted something for himself, he was immediately reminded of all the sacrifices his mother made for him. This repeated conditioning taught him that having personal needs was inherently selfish. The second control mechanism is withholding love. When Ito crossed a line, he wasn't met with productive discipline. Instead, he was hit with agonizing silent treatments and passive aggression, forcing him to fix a problem he didn't even cause. Over time, this constant manipulation creates a harsh inner critic. When Ito looks in the mirror today, his brain still responds like an anxious child, holding up a fragile offering to a massive, imposing shadow, whispering that he is unworthy of the space he takes up. Through years of these repeated cycles, the developing brain becomes hardwired to equate setting a boundary with the terror of total emotional abandonment. So today, whenever Ito tries to enforce a simple bedtime rule with his son or express a preference to his wife, his primitive brain sounds a massive false alarm. If you say no, they will stop loving you. This brings us back to the present and to a tragic irony. Ito's desperate attempts to be okay with everyone are actually damaging the very family he's trying to protect. Take his son, Daniel. A 6-year-old actively needs a guiding authority figure. Growing up without someone who can consistently enforce healthy limits leaves a child feeling unanchored, anxious, and chaotic. His marriage isn't faring much better. Because Ito refuses to voice his own needs, he secretly expects Noah to guess them. When she inevitably can't, silent, toxic resentment builds up between them. By trying to please everyone and avoid all conflict, the boundaryless parent inadvertently creates the exact disconnected, unstable environment they spent their entire childhood trying to escape. Recovery starts with a change in perspective. Instead of viewing boundaries as walls that create distance, we can treat them as tools of self-respect that allow for more honest connection. This animation illustrates what breaking the generational cycle actually looks like. By establishing a permeable boundary, you recognize that your identity is separate from your parents'. You can safely deflect emotional spikes while allowing positive connection to pass through, proving to yourself that it is entirely safe to have your own needs. Reprogramming decades of deeply entrenched people-pleasing takes active practice, courage, and very often professional guidance to navigate the intense discomfort of saying no for the first time. If you recognize bits of yourself in Ido's story, you don't have to figure it out all alone. Click the link in the description to consult with the Jesher Clinic and start the necessary work of building safe communication and healthy boundaries. Please remember, the content in this video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional counseling. Thanks for watching.